Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we were searching for the Van Winter logbook and found stuff about it, but won't find it until this upcoming mission. And I was gonna bring this up. Last week I had talked about, 40K merchandising, and one thing that came to mind was actually what would be cool is servo skulls as like a just like a freestanding thing or even a lamp. I just wanted to mention that. It came to my mind while I was working on these and I was like, oh, those would actually be really cool. But let's get into the next mission.
I'm on the Cavalier. It doesn't look good, Captain. The cultists clearly didn't believe in regular maintenance protocols.
Those filthy scoundrels. Let us hope that they will see the error
I was looking more
of
at the
their
skills.
ways soon.
Yeah, there's definitely a full, unhinged warp heat build. I'm eyeballing it because you can get 20% life drain. So run that, the damage up, and then find a third perk to run, but I think there's definitely something there that could be useful. I also looked, I can get crits. It's just currently, even with putting a couple points into critical hits, I'm sitting on, what is it, 3% chance? It's not good. I really need to probably switch a perk I have active, because what it is a place vulnerability when critting an enemy, but it looks like I'm getting some crits. But I feel like it might be kind of a wasted perk right at this moment. But I'm not sure what else to pick, because what I have for options aren't that good. And the best I could do is... I already have the damage boost while in peril, or imperiled warp heat, which is the yellow part of the bar. But my warp heat reduction has gotten so high that I don't stay in imperiled very long, which might actually be a problem at this rate. I might have to I might have to respec a bit, but I don't fully know if I want to. I might just ditch the imperiled damage up. But that said, it's still useful for when I have to throw down in certain situations. Something like this where I have to throw everything, that affords me at least a couple seconds of higher damage. And who's gonna say no to a damage up, even temporarily, when it's, to a degree, an on-demand damage up? There was a perk that was 100% buff duration, so I think my aura would last a couple minutes. It was tempting. Honestly, I was really giving it a bit of a thought, but in exchange for losing that damage up or any of my other perks, I was like, this doesn't really pay off in my eyes. I think it's just because of how my build currently is. I just can't justify trying to use anything like that at the moment. I gotta say, it's nice having this AoE flame effect, just so that I don't have to worry about dealing with, trapdoors. There's an AoE skill bonus that gives me... I want to say it's at least around 10% increased radius, and that's kind of tempting. but at the same time that's like 4 or 5 points poured into it, and that's kind of steep for a little bit of AoE, I think, suppression damage, and then that, especially when I don't need the suppression. I feel like 9 times out of 10 suppression damage is a waste unless you're fighting something really big, and that's the only time it's ever justified. Oh no, I triggered the spawners. Oh, I remember, this isn't related to Warhammer, but I saw Blizzard is doing, like, signups for the Overwatch 2 closed beta, or it might even be a closed alpha, but I just kind of had to chuckle at that. They're like, oh, there's a new character and some new maps, and we reworked a few characters. I'm like, and you're charging how much for this? This is a hustle, no matter if I've ever seen one. And then there's that new Gundam game that's coming out that still looks like it's just an Overwatch reskin, which is real disappointing because we need some good mech games. I mean, MechWarrior 5 I've been eyeballing, but short of that, there's nothing. Which I really have to ask, I mean, you, the viewer, may not know entirely, but what is with just, like, not doing mech games anymore? When did we suddenly, like, a bunch of people suddenly go, oh yeah, giant robots with, like, death lasers and stuff, not cool anymore? And who gave them the authority? Robots are cool. That's what I loved about Lost Planet 3, was they had, like, robot customization to a degree. It was cool. Or, like, Gundam, they had Crossfire. Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire. Really cool game, because you could destroy limbs. It was early on the PS3, a friend of mine had it, and I remember if you got your arms taken off, you could chase people down and kick them to death. And that was the funniest thing. You usually didn't get close enough in time before you yourself got flattened. But it was hardcore. You know, you could target limbs. It's essentially kind of the Japanese version of how, like, MechWarrior games are, where you could get limbs taken off or crippled. But for some reason, developers are just like, no, we can't do that. We can't do giant robots, we just have to do the same crap we've been doing for, like, the past 10 years now.
Captain, I've gained a new insight into your father's case. These word-bearers were acting on orders from the sorcerer I encountered on the Martyr. They were trying to find Rosa's rosette and lured your father into it. I have found the log.
I forget how short some of these missions are if you just blow through all the story and just get to whacking everybody. Can't complain too much, it's kind of nice. Like I've said, being able to just go through and not really have to care about the story. Alright, skill point. Yeah, we'll keep going down the critical hit chain here. Because I don't really care about the damage bonus when a crit kills. I'm gonna ignore that. But that will be good for an unhinged build. So I'm gonna go into it. The HP healed on critical hit is great. Yeah, I may not have a ton of health, but it's healing. Losing damage reduction kind of sucks, but higher crit chance, so higher health or regen chance. Warp heat loss on critical hit. I may remove that later on. I don't know. I think a big thing I'm going to have to consider is what warp skills I use. Because that's a big matter.
This is a message from...
Captain,
And then I would need to get the radical stuff up. Because these bonuses are pretty solid, you know. 10% warp damage, unlock skills, radical perk, skill stuff, whatever. But then, yeah, I got space. Actually, we'll make this real easy and move the stuff around. There. But for skills, %40 warp damage bonus. Even with the warp resistance penalty, that's gonna stack a ton. And then I just have to start doing warp damage abilities. XP gain, pretty good. I'll have to respec it when I hit 100. 25% chance for incoming warp damage to deal, or to heal instead of deal damage, good. Reflect warp damage back at the attacker, good. Bonus damage for missing HP, pretty good. More warp damage bonus, and all damage is converted into warp damage after hit taken for a second, pretty good. And then critical hit strength on kill stacks up until a critical hit. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that's if you have a low critical hit chance, it will build up until you have a really high, until you eventually do get that crit, and then it'll burn all of it and potentially do a higher crit. So I might have to redo my crit build. God, trying to make this build work is going to be real wonky.
what is this place exactly?
According to the port cogitators,
I can appreciate the complexity of making a build for this character, but man, it kind of sucks because I'm sitting here trying to plan this for the future, and I feel like everything I do, like I said, I'm gonna have to just respec again and again and again to get every bit I want fully, I guess, fully corrected. Because then it becomes a matter, do I want to do low crit damage, or low crit chance, higher damage when I do crit? Or do I want to do more frequent crits and rely on that health regen? Because the health regen would be useful. The problem there is, for the most part, when it comes to my abilities, I'm bursty.
Who used to travel on his ship and who vouched for him.
It means that the most loyal followers of Wizard currently return.
Kind of wish, like, instead of just doing that, it left, like, a patch of fire on the ground. Because this class doesn't seem to have much in terms of, like, zoning. Or at least that I've seen for zoning. And that kind of sucks, because I'm a big fan of being able to zone enemies. I could also get a perk that gives me higher chance of those warp flecks to be positive for me. But I don't really care if it's negative. I've yet to see anything that's, you know, tangibly bad. I haven't seen anything be like half health or warp heat spike or anything like that, so I'm not as concerned. Gotta be able to just stagger chain this ogre. Oh, because he has no suppression left. Yeah, and that's why I don't care about the game being like, oh, do you want more suppression damage? It's like, no, I can do a steady amount as is.
I found an area.
And as it stands, like the garbage guys, your typical Nurglings or guardsmen, they don't, or the pike bears, they don't have suppression, so it doesn't do anything. Even though, yes, I am absolutely obliterating these guys, and they are meant to be just junk to chew through, I would rather have my abilities affect all my enemies than not affect some of them, because then it feels like it's less of a worthwhile investment, you know?
I have found the gate leading to those ancient corridors. It is sealed.
Proceed to the cogitator to open it. Follow my instructions.
Seeing the little Nurgle eggs just reminded me of Heroescape. And the giant thing, I can't remember what it was, like the hive that the marrow could get. That was a good, like, war game if you had the stuff for it and understood the rule set. It's a shame Wizards, because I think that was another Wizards of the Coast thing. They just, yeah, it was, because they did a D&D expansion. But it's a shame they just dropped that. Honestly, it's kind of funny how much stuff Wizards has dropped over the years. Like, they used to have the license to do a not D&D, a Star Wars RPG. I have a bunch of the books, Saga Edition. Absolutely loved it. And they were just like, yeah, we're done supporting it, get bent. And it was just like a couple years before Disney bought them. And honestly, they should have just called up Disney and be like, hey, so we've done this before, can we get the licensing? We'll do that. Because honestly, as much as I didn't like the sequel trilogy, I would have picked up books for the sake of having them. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Plus, I mean, by now they could really do, like, because they had Knights of the Old Republic source book, but they could probably do a The Old Republic source book as well. Could probably do a Rebels one. They could probably do like a second or third Clone Wars source book. They could have done a ton and actually expanded that and expanded talents for some of the existing prestige classes now that I think about it. Because some of them just did not have enough to be viable. Damn, I missed that. I was trying to do a conversion to D&D 5th edition, but 5th edition, I think I've said before, it is very hostile to DMs. If you're trying to, like, homebrew anything. I'd have to probably tweak, like, some of the scaling, especially attack rolls and stuff, and how, like, force powers work, and, like, DCs. But I think for the most part I could probably just salvage it. Just a shame, because I've looked at the newer ones. They had, like, Galaxy, not like Edge of the Galaxy or something. I remember picking it up, reading the book, and I was like, this feels really stupid. It felt like almost a D6 system. And just because I'm a, Saga Edition old head instead of a D6 kind of person, I've always done D20 system. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it, and I'm like, this seems really dumb.
This must be the right place. It looks like a tomb, but it's empty. But if these Utherians laid their leader to rest here, I have found proof.
You have visitors. The Inquisitorial ship dispatched a team
Oh
to the
yeah,
station.
I remember this
They're
part.
heading towards your position.
I'll meet them halfway.
Yeah, because I'm not alone. The ship that Ragna is talking about, that's more Inquisitors.
I am
Essentially going, hey, what the hell are you doing here? Get out,
Let's pick up where we left off, shall we?
Please, Inquisitor. I was only following the orders of Inquisitor Flavius Draken.
Why would an Inquisitor send agents?
My orders were...
Inquisitor...
Yep, and then they're like, hey, we didn't mean to. It was only a prank, bro. Quick, escape the tornado! Yeah, I've seen a few perks too that are like bonuses when standing still. I guess that's a thing? Seems incredibly dangerous, but, who am I to judge?
I have received you.
Could fire up a Void Crusade, but that's pretty dangerous at this low level. Plus, this is the end. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.